Alright, welcome back. So we're here with a quick video for FREYA. Now from Season 2 to Season 3, she hasn't really changed too much as far as her build. A couple things to note though is Telekind's Ring now provides 30% attack speed, which is huge because traditionally you rely on your 2 to do your damage. It makes your auto attacks range, but that buff is only for like 5-6 seconds, so the more attack speed you have, the more autos you can get with your 2. So that's really huge. The 45 magic power, nothing too special, it's not too much for a magical god. And the passive, well, it's just extra damage, kind of like Shinsai's in a way, except obviously it's not based on percentage of health, it's just additional magical damage. And of course, depending on your target's magical protections, that 35 is not really 35, it's probably less, but if you have a penetration item, like Obsidian Shard or Demonic Grip, which is the most likely case, you might still get closer to 35. As far as her abilities, normally I talk about abilities, there's nothing to really talk about that actually matters into building her, besides what I already mentioned. When you use your 2, you have 4 or 5 seconds, and the more attack speed you have, the more autos you can get off in that time. So let's get into building her for Conquest. In Conquest, you do want to go to a starter item. Typically, you want to go to the Vampiric Shroud. Provides a huge amount of sustain with the passive, and the health is nice for starting out. Outside of Conquest, you don't really need a starter item. But for Conquest, it's like starter item, and then you go into either you can rush Haste Fatalis as your first real item. If you're doing this, probably you're looking to do a lot more fighting because you're looking to stick to your target early on. If you just want to play maybe just a bit more passive and just farm up first, then you probably want to go with the Mage's Blessing. But in the end, you do get both. It's just a matter of which one you get first, so that's totally up to you. So typically, she's Magi. There's no real reason to go into the focus cooldown reduction boost since you don't really build a cooldown reduction build for FREYA. So she's a Magi. Haste Fatalis, outside of Conquest, just ignore this Vampiric Shroud, pretend that's not even there. After you get these 2 core items, you definitely want to go into the Demonic Grip. It works perfect for FREYA. There's no reason not to get it. You can go to Telekind's right after. Maybe you're not totally sold on this item and you don't really want it. In that case, you could probably just replace it with a lifesteal item. She is basically a magical hunter, so lifesteal is very important. And the good lifesteal items to go into are Bancroft's Talon, that's a good one. Pythags. Traditionally, you probably want to have other magical gods, maybe your mid laner or whatever the case may be, so you can get a little bit more more benefits from the Aura effect. Or you can just go to the Polynomicon, which is probably the most common, looking for that just huge burst damage as soon as you activate your 2, and your next auto right after is going to be hit pretty large. But for now, just to go with the Telekind's Ring, because the attack speed is a little ridiculous. I have 1.8 attack speed right now. Pick this up, 2.1, and then the cap is 2.5, so that's a lot. And then finally, you do need a lot more magical power since we only have 170, and a good item to just give you tons of magical power is the Rata Hoodie. Now, some filler items that you can put in between these items or replace, you can go into another penetration item, you can go into Obsidian Shard, and or you can maybe go into the Spear of Desolation. This is pretty common for mages. So maybe you can just pick this up in place of Telekind's or in place of Demonic Grip. Maybe not Demonic Grip, but in place of Telekind's or in between, things like that. So those are some optional items. It's just more penetration and or lifesteal just to complete your build. There's no other real options to go into. Maybe if you're doing like a 1v1 duel, maybe a breastplate if you're fighting a physical god after you finish your build. And that's pretty much it. As far as relics, it's all situational. There's no real must-have relics to get. The only exception is if you get FREYA and Assault, you probably want to get Meditation, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this is helpful for any new players to FREYA or to Smite. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.